Forge the Narrative.
Hey everybody, welcome to Forge the Narrative. My name is Paul Murphy, your host for the Alabama Lost Souls podcast. I'm joined tonight by Ricky Addington and Josh Ginn.
Codex Supplement Crew, where you at?
Good afternoon, everybody.
Episode 300. This is going to be a very special episode. In a minute, we'll cut to a break where I'll bring on Pete Foley from the Games Workshop Design Studio as a special guest. He's graciously agreed to take some time out of his day to record with us and, want to pick his brain about some things and hear his thoughts.
And you're going to ask him about that Crew Codex. I know.
It'll be the first thing I do.
Yeah, I bet.
If you had one wish, what would it be?
Yeah, that would be embarrassing, right? If that was my wish. It's like, really? Okay, what would your other wish be? No, I'm sticking to it.
Yeah,
I really want that Crew supplement. That needs to happen, guys.
Thanks to everybody who's been listening to us from the very start. You can't get to episode 300 without having 299 behind you. And we're actually, technically, this is with all the bonus episodes, we're like on episode 350 or something like that. But the main episodes, it's episode 300, and that's what we're sticking with.
I'm not gonna lie, I forgot all about that. I just sat down and thought, let's knock out a show, and I forgot. I forgot the cake. I forgot the booze.
I didn't forget either.
Yeah, I should have a hat on.
Congratulations. That's small feat. There's a lot of things people don't do 300 times. So.
Well, by the time you guys hear this, I'll be partying like it's 1999.
I'll just be sleeping.
I'm in on Saturday when this comes out, or Friday.
I'll be sleeping then too. I think I'll be at a Cub Scout camp or something, so I'll be exhausted somewhere.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's take a break. We'll come back with that spot with Pete, and then we'll come back and talk about some other stuff we have going on. And a buddy of mine just did really well at a tournament with a completely janky Iron Hands list. I know, right?
Don't call it that.
Yeah. Right, I know, but y'all got to break it down and let me know where it's not as janky as I think.
Yeah.
All right, we'll come back and talk soon.
All right.
Cool.
You're listening to Forge the Narrative.
Hey everybody, welcome to a very special segment of Forge the Narrative. I am Paul, your host. I am joined this evening by Pete Foley.
Hi,
Pete,
good to be here.
Yeah, man, thanks for joining me.
It's not a problem at all. So it's evening is what we're going to.
Well, this is our 300th episode. It's a milestone, I think, for the show, and I really appreciate you being here to share it with us.
Well, it's fun to be allowed out. I'm not normally allowed to come on podcasts, so I'm quite excited to be doing this.
Nice. I'll try to make it fun for you. Can you, for the folks that may not know, would you mind telling us your role within Games Workshop?
Sure. I'm the book and box games manager, which means that I run the studios that make Warhammer 40,000 and Warhammer Age of Sigmar and Warhammer Underworlds and Warhammer Quest. If it's got Warhammer in the title, then the team here make the books for it. It's a dream job for me, having grown up as a hobbyist. So.
Yeah, I'd like to talk a little bit about that because, what I learned about you recently was that you were a heavy metal painter for a while.
Yes. Yeah. It was my first job in the studio. So I've been here for ages. I joined Games Workshop 17 years ago, working in retail, first of all as a part-timer, and then the day after I was hired as a part-timer, the full-timer in the store got fired. So I became
promotion.
Yeah, exactly. The very next day. I worked in retail for a while, and then I moved to Warhammer World because I wanted to be a games developer. But while I was waiting for them to realize my games development genius, they recruited me as an heavy metal painter instead. After that, I became the supervisor of the heavy metal team for a while, and then I basically managed every little bit of the studio. So I was the art manager, and then I was the games development manager, and the program manager, which is the schedule manager, until eventually they gave up and gave me the keys to the whole thing.
Well, you mentioned back to the painting for just 1 second. Did you have a natural talent for painting? Is that something that you were interested in before, or did you just start one day and realized you were amazing?
No. I think I'm probably I'm probably an above average naturally talented painter, but not. I'm not Darren Latham or anything like that. Who's just unbelievably gifted.
Oh, if you don't follow him on Twitter, anybody out there, it's worth it. His paint jobs are stellar.
Amazing, and he does really amazing tutorials as well to help pass on his gift. Yep. But I worked pretty hard at it. I really liked the idea of being able to paint really well, and kind of overcame my ability with just belligerence. and they let me have a job for a while. So I was there for about a year, I think. I still remember my first job working in the heavy metal team was painting. In the first week, I had to paint 10 Bretonian horses. For the Bretonian release, all those years ago.
Oh, wow, that is a long time ago.
Yeah, that was a trial by fire though, with all the different heraldry that they had.
Tell me the truth, because that was back when they had the wedges. Did you skimp on the horse detail in the center of the wedge?
Well, so because you were painting it on its own and didn't have the rider on, you kind of painted the whole thing. So it was a fun waking up to what painting professionally was like.
Oh, I bet, man. That's still. I mean, you're looking back at the army, like that was almost intimidating. The paint jobs back then were intimidating as a end user.
Yeah, I can imagine. It was that's why you saw so many Crusader armies on the actual tabletop. It was definitely kind of if you were gonna paint a Bretonian army, a full one, and all following the heraldry, then it was going to be your life's work for the next couple of years. So.
Yep. So before you got into like the store, the retail side of things, were you a player? I mean, I know you play now. I've seen you play.
Yep.
Was that something you enjoyed previously, or how did that all come about? And then, what do you play right now?
So, I mean, I've been a hobby since I was a little kid. So, like a lot of people my age, I guess Space Crusade and Hero Quest were my gateway drug into the worlds of Warhammer. And I played until pretty regularly till I was maybe 17, and then kind of fell out of the hobby a little bit. And then I found a gaming group up when I was at university who all played like Necromunda and Blood Bowl and stuff. And so kind of jumped back in. And then when I finished university, I was like, I don't really know what I want to do. So that was when I went, oh, there's a Games Workshop store in the city. I might see if they've got a job. And that worked out pretty well.
Yeah, the rest is history right there.
Yeah. But when I came, after I joined Workshop, started playing a lot, and then started playing quite competitively for a while, and then, played 40k and, Warhammer in those days pretty competitively for quite a while. And then, in fact, I've got, the very first Throne of Skulls. I won that. So.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So my name, when we used to put the GT winners' names up on the wall in Bugman's, my name was on there for a while. But I'm not that good anymore. So I've had to kind of ease back on my competitive spirit now that I have so many games to care about.
Yeah, fair enough. You mentioned Blood Bowl. I love Blood Bowl. To this day, I love it. This has such a warm place in my heart.
It's a great game, and the guys downstairs in the specialist studio are doing a great job with the new edition. So the new edition of the game.
I know you played Gene Stealer Cults. You actually came over here to the States and competed in the Adepticon team tournament with Gene Stealers. Is that an army you play outside of team competition?
Yeah. So Mike Brand, who runs Nova, asked me to join his team, and I was like, oh great. And he was like, we're going to do Gene Stealer Cults. And I was like, brilliant, that's my army, and I've got like 3,000 points of it already painted. And he said, yeah, cool. Here's the list that we're doing. I was like, oh, so we should just use my army, and I'll paint whatever else we need.
The extra 3 units, and
yeah, exactly, it'll be fine. And then he and Tony Kopach kind of got their heads together and came up with this list and gave it to me, and I had none of it. None of my units were the right units, and they all had the wrong weapons on them. So I ended up painting like 4,000 points of Gene Stealer Cults, brand new, in like 2 and a bit months before Adepticon. So
that is the life of the competitive gamer. It's like we look at the format, we realize we have none of the weapon options, and then we have to
start all over again. So
we do it to ourselves, but that's it.
It was fun. Quite a lot of my, I guess my personal hobby motivation comes from entering an event. It kind of commits you to the deadline, and you have to do it then. So almost every single army I own, was painted for an event. And then I've wandered off and done another one for the next event.
Yeah. So now you have 2 Gene Stealer Cult armies.
I do, but they're all painted in roughly the same color. So they can be fielded as one.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, that's one of the cool things about this hobby, is that you get to take your relics and artifacts with you, so
yes,
you get to use them when you want for whatever style that you're going for. That's what I do anyway.
Yep. Yeah. Well, it's always good to kind of have an eye to, similar armies that you own and go, well, I could just base them the same, and then they'll at least look like they'd go together.
How do you choose which army you like to play? I mean, I know you have, at least some insight into what each and every army does and how it performs on the table, and I can see how you might identify with a little bit of each of those aspects. Like, how do you determine what's right for you?
I think much like everyone else, everyone's got their own kind of driver as to what draws them to an army. Sometimes it's the idea of, the way it's going to play. Sometimes it's just the look of the miniatures. So I really liked the kind of concept behind the Iron Jaws for Age of Sigmar, which is why I did them, as they were my first Age of Sigmar army. I really liked the story of the Gene Stealer cults, and when they got their new models, they were like really exciting. So it was a kind of different aspect. And then sometimes it's just like, I think that army's good in the game, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So it's different each time, I guess, for me, which particular bit of the hobby is going to hook me in.
That sounds really normal, like the rest of us.
Yeah.
So, okay, with work, I mean, this being your job and you're surrounded by it every day, like, how do you compartmentalize doing that and then just chilling out and doing your own thing, painting and stuff? I mean, do those two things meet in some way, or is it really, compartmentalized?
So it has to be slightly, compartmentalized, because not everyone in the world thinks exactly the same as me. And I've discovered that more and more, the more I get to travel around the world and speak to people who like playing Warhammer. It's really, I find it like super important to put how I feel about a thing to one side and try as much as possible to think how will the community as a whole think about it, or, the specific niche of people who particularly like this type of gaming or this type of storyline. How will they feel about it rather than how do I feel about it? And then when I go home, I get to switch all that bit off and just go, no, I like this. I'm going to make this one.
Just make the nastiest, burliest thing you can come up with.
Yeah, or I've got this cool, unique idea of what Stormcast could look like, and I think they could look like this instead of like the ones in the book. So I'm going to do that a bit, and that's fine, because that's what I guess thousands of people around the world are doing every day with the things that we do.
Yeah. So we talk about on the show a lot, living the fantasy. Like we spend probably more hours painting and putting together than we actually do playing. So a lot of people get a lot of fun out of that thought about what could be instead of
exactly
what is.
If I actually had all of the armies I've thought it would be cool to own, then I would have a much, much bigger house.
Right. Can you give me some insight into how the studio thinks? I mean, do they approach things similarly, or just kind of a view into the mindset when things are getting designed and tested and stuff?
Sure. Well, so I mean, one of the big changes that we've tried to bring in over the last few years, and I think hopefully everyone in the community is feeling the benefits of that, is starting to think about what are people actually doing with the miniatures and with our books and with our games, and what would they like to be able to do with them, and how do we give them the tools and the support that they need to be able to do that. For quite a long time, we kind of tried to have a kind of one size fits all approach to the hobby. Heavy metal painting was the way to paint, kind of 2,000 point match play was the way to play. And we've tried to kind of free that up. They're thinking about what people do and looking at what they're actually doing and trying to think of cool things that they would like to be able to do. And then kind of gearing everything we do and everything we make to around helping that happen. So it's kind of a flip around rather than us telling people what they should do.
Mm-hmm.
Is us trying as much as possible to support people doing the things that they want to do.
Yeah, So, as a player, as a consumer of the stuff, it is really neat when you can match up what that expectation of the guy, the pew pew noises and stuff with the figure, and then the abilities, and then the lore. Like it's how it all blends together, and seems to be pretty conducive right now.
Well, good. Means we're doing our jobs at least relatively well. But I'm sure we can always do better. We can always help people more and make the worlds more immersive and the games more engaging and more balanced, I'm sure.
Well, you got a lot of open lines of communication with the players, the people, the end users of the product now. And even Facebook comments. I mean, some of them are kind of cheeky and funny, but there is that exchange of information between folks, and I think it's translating into really awesome products.
Well, it's just helping us. The more information we have about what people would like to do or to see, then the better we can make things. So having the community team do a great job of managing the Facebook pages and kind of sourcing all of that, and it's the same when we come out to events or and just spend time talking to people and getting their thoughts and their feelings. And
awesome, man. I know we talked a lot about the Gene Stealers and that, but is there anything else you're working on right now, like hobby wise? Like what's your what's your back burner project? The thing that you all, I mean, I guess, okay, I'm assuming that everyone has one of these, that you've got something that's your vanity project or something that's on the shelf that you just come back to every now and then when there's time.
Yeah, so kind of mine, I think is Skaven for Age of Sigmar. They kind of sit there looking at me all the time. I keep thinking, well, I could just do a bit more of those.
Beady eyes.
Yeah, staring at me. They're looking at me now, actually. But Adepticon Teams is only 6 months away. Now, and I'm going to play in both, and inevitably I'll have to paint all of it again. So there's 4,000 points. I think we're going to do Space Marines this time, and I've never actually painted a whole Space Marine army.
Okay.
So I'm quite excited about the prospect of painting 4,000 points of them.
God, you're in for a treat. Those Primaris Marines, they kind of like scream to be painted. Now, I have no idea what I'm doing. I look at tutorials and I basically can follow a step of do this, and the Primaris Marines just kind of hold that detail and make it a little bit easier. So it should be good. So I'm looking forward to that, and then something for the AOS teams as well. So. But I haven't even decided what that is yet. So nice. I only have to paint half of that. So that's good. Nice. You mentioned that hopefully you've only got to paint half of that.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I think I should be okay on that one.
All right, nice. So you mentioned the long career, and then how long again have you been in the studio, the box and
the book and box games?
Book and box games. I know. I had it. I was like, oh my god.
So I guess I joined the design studio when it was all together, like pretty much a year after I joined. So I must have been in the studio for 15 or 16 years in some capacity or another.
Yeah. Is there something that you are the most proud of? Like when it came out in any time period, you were like, we just nailed it.
I think the I kind of hope my legacy will be the General's Handbook so far, because breaking the three ways to play into separate things and giving people the tools they wanted to play the game they wanted to play, rather than that one size fits all. I think it's probably the kind of biggest shift in our in our thinking that's led to so much since then. The way that 8th edition 40k was written was with the three ways to play in mind right from the beginning. Then Age of Sigmar 2 was written with that baked in rather than added on. But it all stemmed from the thinking that came from the General's Handbook the very first time round, because it was only shortly before then that I got this job to kind of head up the studio, and Age of Sigmar was in an interesting place at the time, and and looking at the feedback that we were getting, it was an interesting challenge, and one that kind of opened my eyes to us trying to tell people what to do rather than listen to what they would like. Yeah,
well, I mean, it definitely breathed life back into that. I mean, I know people that came out of the woodwork, and even new players back to the Sigmar side.
Yeah, well, it's great. It's really good to see. I mean, Age of Sigmar is in great health now. You see the events at Nova or Adepticon are selling out more tickets than they have ever sold for a fantasy event for them now. So it's going really well now.
Well, the feel, it used to be high fantasy miniatures, so you had some of kind of your archetypal stuff, Tolkien-ish type things for the demi-human races and stuff. Now, I mean, it's its own thing. Like everything has a specific thing you can say that's Warhammer.
Yeah, so it's taken a little while for the miniature studio to kind of realize their vision of what Age of Sigmar really looks like, and I think we're now starting to get to a place where there's enough of it out that people can start to see it. The changes to the Gloomspike Gits and the way that the Grots work is, what they look like. They've got around to that. They've got some elf factions out. The stuff they've done for Warcry to give you a look at the kind of the tribes of chaos worshipping guys.
That's a brilliant game. Warcry.
Oh, isn't it fun? Yeah. And then the Stormcast and then they've spent a lot of time exploring the Death faction as well. So it's kind of now that we're starting to get you're starting to see all of those different aspects coming out, which is great, because they've obviously had it in their minds for a while. But it just takes quite a long time for it to become a reality.
Sure. I bet you see some of the early drawings where how on earth can we sculpt this?
Yeah.
But it seems now like technology is catching up, and so, your imagination can get off the page. I don't know. This is just as someone who watches movies and stuff. Seems like the imagination can get off the page a little easier.
Well, so every year they they bring up some new models they've designed, and we're like, wow, they surely they can't get any better than this. And then a year later, you're looking at those same miniatures going, yeah, they're good, but the new ones they've done are so much better, and they keep doing it every year. So I guess that's why they're the best. That's why they're the best.
Yeah, and sometimes you flex it every now and then, and it seems like every release is just like, yo, we're really good at this. And I mean, as a fanboy, again, this is not blowing smoke. I mean, these are collector type pieces to where there's a possibility you would get these even if you didn't play that particular faction or whatever. Some of the stuff. I mean,
it constantly amazes me, even now after all the years I've been here. Every time I get to see the next thing they're working on, that they've managed to somehow make it more exciting than everything else that we've managed to do so far. Yeah,
it's hard not to get drawn in. I'm not a Salamanders or an Imperial Fist player, but we've seen on the community page those two figures, and actually we talk about how awesome they are in the next segment of the show. But they really are awe-inspiring. They got dynamic poses. They kind of jump off their bases almost.
Yeah, well, so one of the things I really like is those the 6 characters they've done. Each one's like a Space Marine, but completely unique, flavor and theme of Space Marine. And, they've, managed to do it, just across those six models, really paint a picture of what that chapter's like.
I love
each one completely unique.
Yeah. So what's the next thing you said? I know you said, Adepticon's coming up. Are there any, big events, on your side of the ocean that you're going to, or, what are you working on, for the next thing?
Blood and Glory is probably the next big event, this side, of it, which is in November. So not too long away. I haven't actually decided what I'm going to play yet. So every other year I've played a different system at it. So I played AOS the first one, and then played 40k the year before last, then I played AOS last year. So really I should probably play 40k. I might maybe the Gene Stealer cults will come back out for another run.
What style of army do you take for because you mentioned the Adepticon format is a lot different, so you can't just take a 2,000 or 4,000 point army and plug it in and go. It's got to have its own synergy and stuff.
That's right.
But for a typical 2,000 point game, what's the style of army that you like to play with Gene Stealers?
I don't know, pretty standard stuff. Quite a lot of the things I have are the staple things that you'd expect in a Gene Stealer cult army right now, which is that there's a lot of guys with hand flamers, and there's a lot of aberrants with power picks. Jumping out and trying to mug whatever the big threat is
yep.
Pretty staple Gene Stealer cult stuff. But I'd like to paint something new to go with it, so I might have a look. I haven't painted any of the jackals yet, so I might see what I can do building around some guys on motorbikes.
Yeah, they can be annoying to play against for sure, because they've got the mobility, they got decent range, and a little bit of resiliency.
Yeah, and they can certainly throw a demolition charge like a good one.
I've been wrecked by the volume of demolition charges before, I can tell you that.
So they'll probably make my way and make their way onto my painting table before then.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, man, is there anything else you'd like to cover before we wrap this up?
No, just it's been really great to be asked on, and congratulations on making it to 300 episodes.
Man, I really appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you, and hopefully keep going. And this is a great time to be in the hobby. That's one of those things. And then through things like this, I get to interact with folks, get to see people's army list, and see what kind of the pulse of what's happening out there. It's neat to continue to do that and have the interaction from the crowd. And thanks for being a part of that now.
Oh, well, it's no problem. So, Paul, I'll ask you one question. If you could wave a magic wand, what would you like to see us do?
Oh my goodness. Okay. I've been asked this before, and I felt like I screwed up the answer.
Oh.
But if I had it in my heart of hearts, what I would like to see tomorrow are Primaris Sanguinary Guard.
Okay.
Where the wings, and I've got some specifics around this.
Oh, right. Okay. Do you want to send us a picture?
No, right. Yeah. Crudely drawn or maybe done together with like Tinker Toys or whatever. But it needs wings that help support it on the base. You know?
Oh, okay.
Like big old angel-like wings on each one of them, not just a character.
Yeah. Well, I think there's bound to be some exploration of the Blood Angels at some point. So, well, I'll go down and tell them that they need to do it now.
Just hop right on it. Thank you. So yeah, Blood Angels and Eldar. Those are my first two armies that I started back in the early days, like in the first, second, and then in the third. And so those are what I consider my primary factions. And, there's nothing better than a really sharp-looking Eldar or Blood Angel model.
Yeah, striking.
Well, dude, again, I really appreciate you coming on, and we'll talk real soon. Have a good rest of your day.
Okay, thank you.
FTN is brought to you by Discount Games Inc. Please visit them at www.discountgamesinc.com. And don't forget to ask Jay about ways to save even more on your hobby projects.
We are back. So I got a confession to make. There's going to be an unboxing video coming out this weekend on the FTN YouTube page. So please like, share, subscribe, comment and stuff. We have a really good community of folks there. It's just another way to interact with the show. And I did an unboxing video for Beastgrave.
Oh, cool.
I didn't get it right on the first try.
Wait, those are snap fit. How do you screw that up?
No, I didn't build them.
No, he didn't get unboxing it right.
Unboxing video describing it.
Okay.
Oh, I talk with my hands like anybody who's like hung out in public or seen some of the reaction videos and stuff on YouTube. You'll see that I like talk with my hands a lot. I'm not even in the shot, but I'm holding the sprue and then I'm talking, and so you can't see the sprue either because I was
waving it about like a madman. Can you do me a favor? Like, upload that, okay? But then, like, I want to see the outtakes. I want you
just
to
attach it at the end.
Yeah, do so. I want to see
people
terrible unboxing video. So, what's funny to me though is like I have never watched an unboxing video. Like unboxing is not my thing, but I am going to start like a what would you call it? A spine cracking video of that first opening of a book, because like that's what I like. Like I'll open the box, I'll be like, cool. But I do this weird thing, and I don't know if that's just me, but when I get a new book, I open it and I sniff it.
No, that's not just you. I mean, I'm not going to claim it right now, but certainly.
I know it's a weird thing, but I love that smell of opening a new book. I just open it, put my face in it, and sniff it before I read it. So that's the first thing I do anytime I get a new game or anything.
The things that are important to me, with an unboxing and stuff, are the same things that I want to feel the smoothness of the print. I want to hear that crack of the plastic and stuff like that. And I totally messed that up. I had it all in there, and then I was herky-jerky with the stuff. But don't worry, it'll get better. If anybody watched that or watches that after they listen to this before, then it will get better. I promise. But actually, I've got a setup now.
Nice. It's so funny when you think about it, like how the unboxing has become a thing, has become an experience in hobbies and products and everything. Like, when you get a new like iPhone, for instance, like when you get that, like it's in a thing, right? And it's and even GW, you remember like second edition, you just open the box and just dumped everything out. The box is nothing. And now when you open it, there's that nice little like artwork in there. There's all this stuff. So it's always kind of an experience now when you open stuff. So they need to make that go all the way down to like a box of intercessors.
Hey, we'll do those too. Maybe we'll do those. But I want to like when something new comes out, or if I'm going to go purchase something new. That's kind of what I've been doing recently. Like, is I've had my eye on some things that I wasn't sure about, and so I've gone and I've looked at either reviews and unboxings of things, just trying to make up my mind, or just get more info, or kind of live in the moment that they were for a while to see if it was right for me.
You know what I do? I convince my friends to buy it, and then I just look over their shoulder, and see if they're happy. And then I go get it.
Don't you just have the sacrificial air quotes store copy that you can go through?
Maybe
It's the store copy.
It's store copy. You'll take a look.
Before we talk about this Iron Hands list, this pre-supplement Iron Hands list, the two characters that got leaked and then eventually put up for display on the Warhammer community site got a Salamander's character and an Imperial Fist character, and they look amazing.
I don't know which one I love more. It's probably going to have to go with Salamanders because the thought of painting yellow makes me dead inside. So yeah, both of them. Fantastic.
They're just so aggressive looking. That's what I like, is that they've got a lot of the movement in there, captured in their poses, and war gear we haven't seen before. If the Salamanders get plastic backpacks with those torches on the back, I'm probably going to go broke immediately when they go up for pre-order. Well, because honestly, I would use them for Black Templars and 100 other things. They just look cool.
Yeah, gosh, you could do a Primaris Legion of the Damned. Just throw those on the backs of some Primaris Marines in your set. But it's I'm so happy that Primaris, they're finally getting some more Primaris characters out there and really bringing some character into the Primaris range. So it's my gosh, they look good. They look so good. I'm excited. I like the Salamanders dude is great. It's everything you want in a Salamanders character. The Imperial Fist with the power brass knuckles. How can you not love that? Everything about it.
Yeah.
And they all seem like they're going to be great on the table, too.
Well, it remains to be seen. We'll see about all that. But, if we get more of the same and it just gets better as we go along, these are absolutely amazing. And I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Especially, if they stick to the aggressively pointed costs of these guys like they did for the Iron Hands guy, it's going to be too easy to take those guys.
Well, and that's good. I don't even want to say aggressively pointing. It's as a person who plays like pure Primaris armies, it always feels like you're behind because you're in such a model deficit with them but they're finally coming down to where you can actually put an army together and get it on the table and feel like you're playing Warhammer instead of Kill Team. I'm excited about it. I hope that none of these guys get pointed out of getting on the table. So I definitely want to see these new models on the table.
Well, I think you will. They make it the way they wear the Gravis armor just looks really, I don't know, stoic, I guess. They just look, it's been a long time since we saw a model that had like a bulkier set of armor on it that had that kind of presence. Because I think they all have that Lysander kind of poise to them, whereas previously, everything was in, regular power armor, just didn't have the same girth and just force behind it. So now I think they're really trying to expand the figuratively as well as literally.
They've got model. A presence to them. Yeah. Well, I love Gravis armor. It's Gravis armor. Gosh, I don't know that. I'm going to say it. I may get some flack for this, but I like Gravis armor better than Terminator armor. It's hard to say being a Deathwing fanboy, but it just looks so cool.
You've been looking at the Terminator armor for 30 years.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe we're just jaded on it, or not jaded.
If they made a giant Terminator armor,
no. You give me Primaris Terminator, Gravis can, buy. We'll be all over
good.
that.
I'm just checking perspective here, so that's all I'm
Yeah, absolutely. But I love I love the look of the Gravis armor, and so I like any new model in Gravis armor. I'm excited about. So
the only good Terminator I've seen the only good model wearing Terminator I've seen in the last year has been Abaddon. So, but not everyone can be bulked up to his girth to carry it and make it look that good. So
that's true, yeah.
But Gravis, on the other hand, it's a lot more posability with the Primaris scale. So I think it's just I'm silver lining everything here. I really like it.
Yeah, good times. So this Iron Hands list, again, this is pre-supplement, but he almost took down a 114 person event. It's in Canada, so I kind of only assumed that he probably just got close and like Jim Vessel swooped in and picked him off.
That's fair.
Kind of like Baba Yaga. I don't know.
They just have to replay it once the book's out, though. It sounds like.
Well, I don't know the details. I just know he got really close, but did not close it down. So it starts out with a captain on a bike with just power sword, bolt guns make him in the warlord, a lieutenant, 3 stout scout squads, a contemptor dreadnought with a multi-melt and a close combat arm, so stock, essentially, a relic Sikaran, Fire Raptor gunship. That's kind of what I'm starting to read this. I'm like, okay, Contemptor, I don't know. And then Fire Raptor? Are you kidding me?
Until you got to Fire Raptor, it honestly just sounded like his buddy told him, "Hey, have you played Warhammer in a while? Yeah, give it a try." And he just dusted off what he had. And now we're getting into like some heat here. Okay.
So the Fire Raptor's got 2 twin las cannons and then the heavy quad bolters. That's what he's got on there. Then the spearhead attachment with a Tech Marine, 2 Predator Annihilators. So these are just Predators with the 4 las cannons, and then 2 Rapiers with quad heavy bolters. Again, I'm like, what are you doing? What is even happening right now? And then a Leviathan Dreadnought with 2 Storm Cannon arrays, and then a Whirlwind to round it out at 2,000 points.
I like it all. I'm in.
This is pre-supplement. So, I mean, hats off to him for doing as well as he did without all the modifiers on top of that. But that's, my exact reply was you can't deny the results. I'm just saying I wouldn't have come up to that conclusion in a long time. And,
yeah, absolutely. We were talking about, before the show, just, I misunderstood what you were saying, and I kept thinking that he had access to all the benefits, and you really drove it home that he didn't, and I was even more shocked at just with the resiliency of the Iron Hands chapter tactics that they'd be okay with it. And
Josh thought it was next Saturday.
Yeah, because I wasn't on last week, but what I was doing was digging out my old Iron Hands army, and all my guys are on their 28 mil bases still. Those get snipped off as we speak. I mean, some of the stuff this guy's going to be able to do with that same list, he's going to be able to take the relic that reduces incoming damage to all the vehicles. And so if he's instead of running the executioner spam with the flyers, the downside to taking the hover tanks, even though they have the repulsors when you assault them, is everyone can shoot you underneath them. So you're not necessarily working any shenanigans there. So he's taking all the ground tanks so that you can't draw a line of sight through those. Then what he's going to do is he's going to take those scouts, he's going to put them out of line of sight. He's going to run all the shenanigans with that, and he's going to pass off wounds with the stratagem. So if you do get anything through, because I'm assuming he's going to take the character we all love for 110 points or whatnot. So if you're dumping off wounds or being untargetable, then he can make everything else. I think did he say he had some other dreadnoughts in there besides the Leviathan?
Yeah, Contemptor Dreadnought.
Leviathan, I thought you said he
had and a Leviathan for sure. Yeah, but the Contemptor Dreadnought.
But the Contemptor. Okay, so he can't make the Contemptor. I guess he could make it a character and do the same kind of shenanigans, but I don't know if he needs to. But then other than that, he's just lingering in the in the Devastator protocols, and all those heavy weapons are just ripping stuff up. You know what I mean? And that lieutenant's going to get access to the relic, the ammunition. I can't remember what it's extra wound. He's re-rolling ones and everything. It's just going to be so dirty.
Yeah, he swore by the heavy bolters. He said that all those strength 5 shots, at worst, wounding things on 5s and 6s, you get some re-rolls in there, re-rolling wounds to hit and stuff. He said it all adds up, and he was just tearing flyers out of the sky and probably chewing up the other units.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's everyone, I don't know who everyone is, but I hear a lot of chatter, people like, just auto spam 3 Leviathan Dreadnoughts. It's like, okay, well, that's don't get me wrong, it's a lot of capability, it's a lot of firepower, it's very strong, et cetera, et cetera. However, I think you're minimizing the benefit of the relic, which I think is a build around, which is the -1 damage to all incoming. I think you're much better taking several smaller platforms. They all have, they can all fire different things, they can all play different angles, they can go take objectives rather than sinking yourself down with, one character who's got to be hidden, protected, and then just dumping 3 Leviathans around him, which, albeit maybe, I don't know, we haven't played it and haven't seen it run its course yet. I mean, 3 Leviathans with all the autocannons may
also
be a better
remember
play, but
it's a relic in the Index Astartes for Forge World.
Right. But I'm saying you have
has its own rules. You got to take other things to get access to those relics. So it's not simple as just spamming 3.
I agree. So like I said, my tentative plan and the other stuff I was digging out is I'm going back to the old trusty Razorbacks from the old Decurion days. And I'm just going to be doing assault cannon Razorbacks. I think there is a flyer build out there that's all assault cannon on the Stormhawks and the Storm Talons, but I'm probably going to just do my old version, which is going to have like 3 venerable dreadnoughts that'll all be characters, and then I'll do something shenanigans with the scouts as well, keep them out of line of sight, and then just march up. And I'm gonna try to run it as an in-your-face version. I know some people here are trying to talk me out of taking the aggressors because they say it's an Ultramarines thing, but I like the idea of taking aggressors in the front and just some Primaris with the heavy guns and just going towards the enemy. And then I'm putting them out of the game plan because they're thinking I'm going to sit back and shoot. And then they're getting hit with like 4, dreadnoughts and 28 aggressor power fist attacks or whatever they can't kill. And it's gonna be interesting.
You might want to
We'll
consider the Centurions, the Assault Centurions.
I don't own them.
Yeah, well,
Have you ever put together Centurions, Paul?
I have the first set I put together. I left the hoses off the back, because I was like, I got no time for this after I was.
Oh my gosh! You don't think about it like Centurions are a hobby. That's definitely a hobby because that is a time investment. I did not realize how long it took to put together 6 Centurions. That's a full day.
I'm definitely also, because I know I'm going to be called cheese, right? So I'm actually I'm paying my hobby taxes and I'm repainting my stuff from the black to my more metallic 30K color scheme. So people can be mad all they want, but.
Hey, whatever. Don't hate me. Luna Wolves, there's going to be some white armored dudes. There's going to be some black armored dudes. Because that's the way that army fights.
All people are going to be hating you again in the next couple months because you're going to get a bunch of Eldar stuff. Because we all know what's coming down the pipe is Chainzar versus, Drazar. And Phoenix Rising, there's probably going to be the your craft war, was it Eliotic or whatnot?
Beltan is what I would.
Beltan, excuse me. It's going to be the rise of Beltan because it got broken up when what's-her-name left, when all the souls left. And I'm telling you, and here everyone's complaining about the power creep on Space Marines, but GW always solves power creep with more power creep. So you're going to...
Eldar have always been the foil to Marines.
Exactly.
And I don't want to pre-justify, but we did see, what was it, the Incubi, the figure for the Incubi, which just looks awesome.
All of them are. I mean the Banshees.
Yeah.
I got a shiny silver dollar that says that you're going to be doing something crazy like coming out of some kind of vehicle assaulting. Dark Eldars are open top anyway, but I'm just saying Eldar is going to get some shenanigans and all this stuff about us castling up, Marines or whatever. It's just going to be trash. But we'll see.
Thanks. I think the stuff now is, whatever. There's a lot of still cool stuff in the game, but what the more exciting thing is that the Marines are now a factor before. Like we've been in heavy debate for years about what it would take to make power armor actually exciting. And now maybe we hit the limit of what the data slate can say, but they've proven they're going to push past that. But like shock assault and some of these tactics on top of tactics and stuff. It's a lot to keep up with, but it's really made them spicy.
Yeah, and thankfully, I'm really happy they gave us more built-in abilities as Marine players instead of just throwing stratagems at it. Granted, we got like some really fun stratagems coming with these new books, but they recognized that Marines overall needed help, and not just help in the form of burning more CP for onesie-twosie things here and there, but
or just
overall
lowering the points down. Now you get to feel like these guys are heroes. Yeah, every one of them's a little hero or whatever.
Yeah,
and you kind of, and I'm not saying they're like Custodes heroes because they got the right rules. They look beef. They got all kind of stratagems that are all around how awesome they are as individuals and stuff. And now the Space Marines get to function, as units, but then also kind of interesting hero-like with their stratagems and stuff.
Yeah.
You can get a moment. Like you're not gonna. When you take all that time to pose and paint that model, you're going to feel it the whole way through, and it's going to translate to the tabletop, which is exactly what we needed. And that's what we did not have that with Space Marines the last couple of years.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm digging it.
Let's just see that transfer over to Dark Angels and their Deathwing Codex supplement and their Ravenwing Codex
Is there
supplement.
something coming out in the White Dwarf soon?
I don't have it in front of me, but the rumors that I heard was that Dark Angels, yes, are in the new White Dwarf, but I heard it's a mission, like a narrative mission or something, and some story, like a Dark Angel story. So maybe something else.
It won't be, so I guess not a revision, right, of a codex, but look, you'll have your time in the sun, hopefully, eventually.
Oh,
same with Blood Angels.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Hey, look, that's what I was going to say. Look, I'm excited for anything Dark Angels, but GW, please help Blood Angels before us. We're okay. Help the Blood Angels.
Appreciate that. I appreciate that.
What happened there? Oh man. Boy, they were a flash in the pan though, weren't they? There was that brief moment where Blood Angels were, oh my gosh. Well, I should say the captain, the jump captain was amazing. Yeah,
I'll be the voice of dissent on that one because there was a period of long years of the Dark Angels were my main army, and it seemed like they were the first out the chute for everything before Space Marines, and then here comes like either the Space Wolves or Blood Angels or everybody else coming in with all kinds of extra stuff, and all we had was like stubborn.
Yeah. I felt like we did eat it there. Let's see, 8th. I think we were one of the first. I think we were the first Marines after Vanilla, right? And then
from
I think
second to 7th, and y'all were not doing very well. I mean, that was a whole long period of time.
It was dark days.
I remember in 6th edition, I think 5th, right at the tail end of 5th, when they finally updated. I think it was our storm shields and our cyclone missile launchers or something.
No. You could finally mix and match your close combat Terminators with your shooting Terminators in a Deathwing squad.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, what can't we do now? Turns out still win because here comes 7th edition or 6th edition. Shut us back down. So I would.
Meanwhile, Death Company scout sergeants are just killing us. Government's building their Death Company for a nickel.
I love that.
If anything, just give I would love to see Dark Angels get a revision and give us something other. And gosh, I don't want to crap on Weapons of the Dark Age, but I would love to be able to play Dark Angels and not rely solely on Weapons of the Dark Age to get work done.
I don't know, Ricky. I think what's going to happen. I think as Dark Angels, I think there's a lot of good stuff coming eventually. I'm not going to say it's anytime soon. But all that fluff talking about all the Fallen building up on the other side of the Cicatrix Maledictum, and they're in like Legion size number.
Yeah,
I mean,
we've been my buddy. He's a big Chaos player, and he and I have just been foaming at the mouth just thinking about if they would come out with a Fallen Codex or a supplement for the Fallen. And come out with, re-release the Dark Angels, release the Fallen, and let us play that out, and give us really cool stuff to play that out. It's such a huge part of their story. That'd be amazing.
Y'all got nerdy quick.
Oh, I don't even want to hear it when Mr. Chris Morgan and Paul Murphy start going about Blood Angels for an hour and a half. In a 1 hour show. You can sit there while Josh and I talk for 5 minutes about Dark Angels.
Let me bring us slightly back on topic. And there's been a lot of talk about the Leviathan Dreads. Buddy hit me on Instagram. I'm at Fights with Dice on Instagram, and he mentioned that the Contemptor Mortis Dreadnought is not that bad either. It's basically about 70%. Yes, so 4 last cannon shots for 168 points. Yeah,
good. What's the Razorback or a Predator with 4 last cannons? How much is it?
The Predator and the Annihilator one.
Yeah,
I can tell you in just one second.
I want to say it's maybe 20 points more. I can't remember.
It's 175 points.
Yeah, it's only like 10. So the Contemptor with what, 160 something?
168, yeah, I think.
Yeah. And then it also, the difference being obviously smaller silhouette, a little bit easier, well, probably the same line of sight, and then what, the invulnerable save?
It's got the invulnerable save against shooting, yeah.
Can't argue with that.
Feels like a winner to me. And heaven forbid it does get in combat, it's going to hit a little better than your tank. Yeah. You're not hitting those 6s.
I think it's real easy for us to gravitate towards the biggest and shiniest thing, but how it fits into the list, I think one of the things that would be common about a lot of Marine players is it's going to be fairly easy to build kind of a hodgepodge of lists that doesn't work all that well together. And you might need some, I think objectively about what you're actually going to encounter and then what you may be struggling with as you're playtesting your lists. And then don't be afraid to look at some of these other things that have, like rapier batteries. I would have never thought about it, but, now that I see, now that it's been explained to me, essentially, I can really think like, wow, that's actually not a bad choice for however many points it is. What is it? 60 something points?
That's crazy.
76 points.
Is that not the best thing ever? Is when you put your models down and some dude pulls out something like that everybody just kind of writes off, and then he shoves it down your throat. You're like, what? Good for you. Thank you for showing me that. It's always fun when somebody does well with some old model that nobody's thinking of.
Yeah,
40K it's usually a uh-oh feeling, and like 30K that's a cool feeling.
Yeah.
This guy's a great player. He's been holding down the Space Marines for a long time and playing them even when they weren't very fashionable. And so, I was anxious to hear his list tech because I can bring it in and share it with you guys. I don't know if he wanted me to share it, but there's the list.
Too late now.
Yeah.
It's the Wild West. There's you don't even have to have synergy. There's just good efficiency in the Marine book. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you can kind of force some synergy though with like stratagems and tactics and stuff. I mean, or the doctrines. I mean, there's layers, there's depths like an onion.
And it's not a bunch of gotchas either. You know what I mean? Like it's just.
Oh, I don't know. Some of that stuff's a gotcha. Like the sniper for the intercessors.
Yeah, but that's not really. Well, I mean, I guess. I don't really consider that
It's a big
gotcha,
command point.
gotcha.
Yeah, it's a big command point.
There's I tell you a gotcha. A gotcha is we had our tournament the other day, and I was playing against a guy who had not played against Harlequins all that much, and he was getting ready to back his fire prism out of combat with. I had 2 troops, a whole Harlequin. No. I think it was my bikes. And I had to tell him, I said, before you back him out, just know that for 1 command point, I can shoot at you as if it was my shooting phase. And because I would have annihilated that tank. And that would have been a gotcha, because it was bad enough to where I just had to let him know. I said, don't do that because you're just giving me the kill. But I don't feel like Space Marines has something like that that's just, that much of a gotcha. I think Space Marine has some good stuff in there that, when you use it, it's not feel badsy stuff. It's hey, you're going to burn how many 2 CP for your intercessors to be sniper that turn?
It may even be 3.
If it's 3, I invite you to do that. Go for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially if people burning all the stuff to take all the relics, they're going to need to. Speaking from Iron Hands, there's a lot of good relics out there. I'll experiment with it, but I'm thinking about taking a list that's very relic and warlord trait heavy, and then just not even worrying about all the cool, stratagems, because it'll just be inherent horsepower.
Yeah.
You mentioned, Ricky, on the last show about you weren't sure if you thought the Instigator bolt carbine was a good investment on the Eliminator squad.
Yeah, like we were talking about that is if you really want your Eliminators, if you want to give your Eliminators survivability, sure, it's a good investment, right? But I don't know if I want a third of that unit to not really be swinging for the fences with their shots. If you're really trying to keep them alive and keep them, on an objective or something, I think it's fantastic. But you're taking away your long range shooting.
The bolt carbine, it's 24-inch range. It can still target characters. It's a damage 2 weapon.
I think there's a place for that. I think that it's probably not right now, and it's not where everyone's super hot on Marines, but maybe you'll see it, months down the line, or you can probably run it right now. But you do it as a slingshot where you set them up, and somebody's like, "Oh, I'm going to charge your Eliminators," and then you get them with the fall back out of the line of sight, and then you get them that much closer, so then you can assault. There's probably some player skill level involved in that, but you got to do it once the fervor's died down and people aren't really thinking about it. You might catch some people slipping with that one.
What if you fall back? And they get the charge off anyway, and then you get to heroically intervene with somebody who's now closer than they were before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All of the above, right?
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's situational. When you have it and you pull something off like that, you look like the greatest 40k player ever. And then, you're playing against Tau, and you just, man.
With your ironclad dreadnought that you made a character.
Wish I had that 36 inches. Yeah, wish I had that 36 inches instead of that 24.
That's it. That's what you do. You fall back near your ironclad.
That's the dream.
Yeah, or the Allfather or whatever.
Yeah.
Ironfather.
I'm in. I am in.
So there you go. There's the reason you want to take the bolt.
And then, you're just, there's always the denial of, sometimes you just don't want them getting assaulted. So.
Oh, sure. Yeah. You stymie the plans or whatever.
The obvious reason.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of the tricksy things you can, and what are you really giving up? Is the upside better? And I mean, I don't know. I mean, we're talking in like real fringe situations right now, but since you asked about it, I was doing a lot of looking at it. I don't mind it. I think when you originally mentioned it, I wasn't positive that it could target characters, but it can.
It's still a sniper weapon essentially, right? It's still shooting characters. It's doing 2 damage, so that's. I mean, unless they're shooting a mortis round, that's better.
Well, I mean, I'm almost thinking that the mortis round can make up for the fact that you've got this other weapon, maybe.
Hey, can you put that carbine on the sergeant in the squad?
I think it has to be the sergeant.
Yeah, it's the Eliminator sergeant.
So then you give him the relic, like ammunition then, and then target characters with it if you want to. could be a pocket little, interesting thing you could do to get some extra horsepower if you feel you're losing strength.
You're talking about the relic, the relic, not relic things?
Yeah,
the special war gear?
The war gear, right? The haywire rounds, or the, say they make one of their characters a vehicle or something. Yeah, I don't know. Could be something interesting to do there to make up for it.
Yeah, hey, I mean, whatever. It's what we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, that's 3 damage a shot right there. But I still like the idea of that on an aggressor sergeant.
That is pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Yes,
because it's and it's only on one weapon though, right? So it wouldn't work for
auto bolt storm gauntlets.
Yeah, it's got to go on the gauntlets. It's not going to go on the grenade harness. So it's just stand there and pump out 12 shots that do 2 damage apiece. Cool.
Yeah,
good day.
Then Dreadnought. Aggressor Sergeant.
Man, I'm excited about getting some of these vehicles, Space Marine vehicles and Dreadnoughts that have not haunted the tables in quite some time.
Oh yeah,
they just look cool, and plus you get to put some more dudes on the table too, man. It's like building some of these characters and the squads and the vehicles. I mean, I've got the vehicles. Any longtime Marine player is going to have a lot of these vehicles already. It's going to be fun to get them on the table.
I forgot my Iron Hands Dreadnoughts were the old Forge World resin, like box dreads, the air quotes venerable ones they had. Do you remember those?
Yep.
Yeah. I was like, it felt like I unboxed treasure. I had a Chaplain dread in there too, and I was
the Chaplain dreads always got me because he's like a tad bit shorter than the rest of the dreads.
I just think it because of the skull and the detail on it, and I gave him the Blood Angel claw. So instead of his regular dreadnought close combat weapon, he's got the claw.
No, he does look awesome, but put him right next to a dread, like on a exact same height base.
Yes.
And he will be a tad bit shorter.
Mine has a scenic base. It's all good.
And those Chaplain Dreadnoughts, I mean, you got to remember, those Chaplain Dreadnoughts are going to bring your litanies.
Oh, yeah.
So they've got your litanies. They're going to be able to
take a warlord trait.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool, actually. Like, honor the chapter. Can you honor the chapter? Yes, you can honor the chapter. Yep.
Spice will flow.
Yeah, so you can have some fun with those.
Yes. I hadn't even thought about this. See, again, it's another thing that's been sitting on the shelf forever.
Yeah. No, I had a guy do it to me, not this year's Nova Open. Last year's Nova Open had 2 Chaplain Dreadnoughts in his army, and I honestly kind of snickered at him at first. I was like, okay. And then he walked them right up, swung, and then swung again. And I said, okay, cool. And I couldn't target them because they were 9 wounds, and I had to get to them. So Chaplain Dreadnought is a pain in the butt.
Yeah. What did the hand say to the face?
And then he paid a few CP and said, slap again. So, yeah. Don't sleep on Chaplain Dreadnoughts because they just got better.
Mm-hmm.
No. Well, on that, I guess we can go ahead and close out. Tell us where is Matt Barnachuk, who's the guy who's a Space Marine list. Let him know how crazy he is if you know the guy. But if you already know the guy, you know how competent he is on the table.
He gets one bionic thumbs up for me. That's a solid. It's a solid list, brother.
Yeah, and I want to see where it goes when he gets his hands on the actual supplement itself.
Yeah, next week it only gets better. I mean, how great is that feeling to know that you did that well with your army and knowing that you're getting more goodies for the exact same stuff you have is only going to get better on Saturday.
Yeah, next week I'll come with a list of my own, boiling down all this information. I mean, again, the interaction and dealing with people and hearing about what works for them and finding what works for you is part of what we do around here. So I appreciate everyone who's been with us along this journey for as long as you have been. Thanks for everyone that leaves the 5-star reviews and whatever aggregator you can find us. Thanks for the people that comment on YouTube. Thanks for people that send us messages on the Facebook page and everything else. It means a whole lot. You guys want to add anything else before we wrap up tonight?
Sure. I got one closing moves or finishing moves.
Oh, you got a finish move. All right.
Real quick. For anybody who wants just a little bit more depth out of their metals, so you do whatever your base coat is for your metal, and you wash it with your Nuln Oil, right? But then take a little bit of thin down, maybe not even thin if you're feeling froggy, the Druchii Violet, or not Druchii Violet, the blue one.
Gilliman Blue?
No.
It's not Gilliman Blue anymore.
Hold on, give me 10 seconds. Drakenhof Nightshade.
Oh, all right.
Hit it with a little bit of that when you're done, and just let it ride. It gives it just a little bit more depth. That the grays, because the silvers and the grays and the blacks all kind of go together, but the blue really gives it a little bit of depth. It's super simple. Some people may think that it doesn't matter or make a difference, but I'm telling you, it just looks hot.
You're a
Quick and
You're
easy.
a madman. He's crazy.
I'm living on the edge over here, painting these iron hands.
Hey, look, you got to find ways, especially if you're not. I mean, you told us your black technique, but if you're not good at painting black, you got to make the rest of the army look amazing. So why not?
That's going to be the knock on any dark army, right? Like anyone's going to rock up to the table with a Blood Angel army, everyone's going to run over and go, "Oh my God, look how awesome this is! It's so red." And here's my black army of just blah. So you got to do little things to make it, make it do something on the table.
You can only get so excited for black.
Hey, that hobby tax.
Tough.
All right, guys, y'all have a good rest of y'all's night.
All right, gentlemen, have a good one.
Night.
Out here.
Thanks for listening.